There is a term that is being used that it's an Abrahamic term that I have been hearing neo-pagans use. And that term is accident of birth. Now, if any Northern Pagan hears someone who is identifying as a Folkish Pagan use that term, accident of birth, then that person should be marked as not being Folkish. Let me give a description of what this accident of birth term means. Any and all particulars surrounding one's birth, physical characteristics, social background, and even nationality that are considered a result of parentage and the specific circumstances of birth, and are therefore entirely out of one's control. Now, that is the definition of accident of birth. They give an example. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. That means what they're saying is, just like Abraham has done since they invented their cults, is they're severing your blood memory. They are severing you from your ancestral Northern Pagan past. You have no parental link. It was an accident that you were born in America. It was an accident you were born in Sweden or Africa. It doesn't matter what spectrum, Asia, China, it doesn't matter. You are an accident of birth. Now, what this does is it creates new beings, exactly what it says in the Abrahamic text called the Bible. These new beings without any link to their blood memory, without any link to their folk soul. This dissevering of everything that came before you. You're just there, floating in the wind, a new being. The example they give. My poverty, when I was young, was merely an accident of birth. Through hard work and determination, I was able to overcome it and lead a successful life. Where did that ability to diligently persevere come from? An accident of birth? It just miraculously happened? The elements, the terrain, everything that made your ancestors who you are was passed down to you so that you have this dissatisfaction. You are not happy in your current situation. Now, this whole poverty level, where was that originated? Where was that thrust onto us? What this accident of birth terminology does is it separates us from our ancestral homelands. You could have been born anywhere. You have no right to anything, is what accident of birth means. Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Germany, America, Africa, China, Asia, wherever. You have no ancestral link. You're just one big universal conglomerate of new. And it takes away the responsibility for where that poverty came from, because it was those very Abrahamic cults that came in and upset the balances in our ancestral homelands. They are the ones that came in and stole our lands and stole our wealth and cut down our holy groves, upset the balances of nature and the ecosystem. And now all of a sudden an accident of birth means I had no control over the poverty I was born into. No, but somebody did. And that is the inventors of those cults. They had a control of the poverty you were born into, and they thrust it upon you. But your blood memory says you want more. Your blood memory of the characteristics that forged your ancestors, that led to the valiant last vestige of Northern paganism in Europe, the Vikings. Where do you think they got what they got to fight against those Abrahamic forces? From a blood memory, from their folk soul. So it eliminates all of that just in three simple words: accident of birth. Any folkish pagan should never use that term because it severs every link to your past, to your homelands. What you're saying is, I don't want an ancestral homeland. I never had an ancestral homeland because everything is an accident of birth. And it relieves Abraham from all the damage they have caused. And it does one other thing. Mother Goddess is called a valiant chooser. When we recycle and get rebirth, reincarnation from our folk soul, after this body's gone and I come back again and I am reincarnated, Mother Goddess makes that choice. She makes that choice of when and where I go along our folk soul lines. Retaining blood memory, it alleviates that. It takes that away. There was no choice made. There was no parents falling in love. There was no yew trees that were buried over their graves that grew up into groves, marking where their ancient spirits were. All of that is destroyed by an accident of birth. When our ancestors would make treks up to Uppsala, it's gone. Accident of birth. No folkish pagan should ever use those three words. We are not accidents of birth. We have our ancestral homelands. We have our ancient beliefs, our ancient gods and goddesses, and they were passed down to us along with a blood memory that if it is Sigurður Samin, the same as Sigurd, that warrior spirit, then it shall always live. An accident of birth tries to destroy that in typical Abrahamic fashion.